Good evening from yammybtv. Wishing you all well today. Sending loads of love as usual. Coming up tonight, I've decided to talk about risk taking. And I mean risk taking as in living on the edge. So, living on the edge, meaning that at any given moment, the edge where you're walking along that slippery slope or that narrow straight line that's got funny bits to it that it can fall off or go wrong at any time. And talking about risk taking of the highest order or to the extreme way where you can possibly lose your life or harm somebody else in the meantime during those moments. From the smallest crimes, we know the probabilities and possibilities during shoplifting, the chances are that murder and things like that are not going to happen. But they do happen, it's fair to say. And it has happened during small crimes of maybe nicking a handbag or, something of a smaller nature can lead to something unexpected happening where it can all go disastrously wrong. So then we talk about the risk taking of, when your crimes escalate like mine did, and we get to using weapons and more daring moves and, more chances of harm happening to you and also those that you might be inflicting the harm on. So living for so long, so if I lived on risk taking from the age of 10 to the age of up to now, you don't have to be a criminal to be a risk taker. You could be a risk taker as a gambler. There's many forms that risk taking takes, but eventually a risk taker must be prepared for all outcomes, say. So for living that life for all those years, 40 something plus years of living on the edge, how do I get to live? How do I get to live a life without the sense of danger or the sense of something about to happen? That in prison, many times along the years, I'll be waiting for the door to open in anticipation of, what's going to happen next. And, your feet, you're waiting for the door to open. So, you can get up to your skullduggery or you've got a mission to go on. And very much the same outside here, it used to be as well. And during risk-taking moments, I'll give you a couple of examples of things that can happen. I was thinking back earlier to a time when I was climbing in the wrong way, trying to get through somebody's window, climbing 8, 9 floors. And during those days, I used to put my head through the window and try and listen out, sadly, to see if people were in or out or whereabouts in the house they were or whatever the crime was I was committing at that time. And one of those times I was climbing the drain pipe and put my head in, as all the way up, I was checking each window to see if loose ones, some of them looked shut, some of them looked open, was finding out if my body could fit through some. And then obviously you're looking, if it's the evening, you're looking for lights more likely off to see if they're going to be in or out. There's been times when lights have been left on, but they're not in. We know that these are the kind of things that you also experience, if you not let everyone's experience being a burglar, like I was. But on such occasion, I'm climbing. And when I open this window, whoever was waiting there, as soon as I pulled the window open a little bit, he went like that and pushed me. And I ended up all the way down 8, 6, 7, 8 floors and landed on my back and both my ankles broken. I can remember looking up and feeling knocked out for a little bit. And then I had to crawl back to where I came from, to the waiting car, and obviously had to go take a trip to the hospital, and apparently both ankles were broken. So that's a risk that you take when you go and do these things. You're lucky that day really not to die, except that you fell into more like a pile of mud, so the fall was kind of softened by the fall, if you like, and the twisting of both sides. And up to today, I tried to figure out how I could not have landed head first and not in the way that I landed. So I had a bit of luck there. And you know, that is the consequences of taking risks when you're doing wrong things. Because a person is in his right mind, really, that for you to be 8 floors up, what reason have you got to be peeping through his window? There's no fire exit, remember, you're just climbing. So all my life I've lived on the edge, you know, inside and outside prison, and got thrills out of it and adapted to it and felt at home with it. They, in a perverse way, kind of liked it at the time, it's fair to say. The creeping around and shh, who's listening, who's there, don't make too much noise, whether you're inside a building or even if you're outside a building, you're careful of noises and your ears are almost on radar. It's just, you know, because you're almost hearing every single thing. You can hear televisions on, you can hear people talking, you can hear all kind of things. Some of the things you witness during crimes where people do not know at the time that you're actually in the process of doing it. I've got some real, in my book, I'll be mentioning a few. But the extreme cases, again, another one that happened to me. I was in somewhere, I got convicted of these crimes, so it don't really matter now. Well, it matters because I got sentenced for it and somebody had to pay, or not pay really, I had to pay because I didn't get away with nothing. I was down in Dorking somewhere and I went through a window and I was in there 60, 70 seconds and I thought I heard a noise at the door and I sprang out and tried to come out of another window. By this time I had some boxes of jewelry, and so I came out of a way, like, so if I went through the front entrance that way, I went through a side window that I hadn't inspected already. So when I was coming through to make my, you know, hurried escape, I somehow stepped out thinking I was landing on a garden floor or something, or a bit of concrete that was like a 1 yard, you know, deep kind of thing where you just go bop on your thing. In fact, when I stepped out the window, I ended up down into a water bridge water where it was full of like mud. Have you ever seen Oliver Twist Fagin, where he slips in, he falls and his jewelry box falls into the dirty water, and all these jewels that he saved up for all those years were in there, and he was trying to grab them, like, you know, like he wanted to save all those items that he'd built up over the years of his empire of being Fagin. So I was doing the same in the water, and I never found a thing either. I lost everything, and I was injured too, and I had to walk miles back to where I was living, full of mud and full of thing. But anyway, forget those bits and bobs there. But how is it that a man could live that way for so long and finally learn a way not to live that way, if you get what I mean? And I've been ticking it over in my mind, and I'm thinking, right, because confessions now as a criminal and a thief, and you know, all that went with it, you know, is helping me with therapy in some kind of way as well. But I point to a few factors as in I got fed up with it, lost cause, really all for no purpose. Like, there was, in the end, it just seemed senseless to me. And of course, like the big one, when I got the injuries and lying there and talking to the big man upstairs and making a pact with him that really the life that I'd been leading was a whole lot of coswallop built on, you know, the way that I was taught and my core beliefs of trusting in a life that really, in the end, leaves you a sad, lonely figure. Because there were many nights from the thrills and spills, like I often think, like during crimes, like you'd be hyped up to do it and hoping for a good prize or a score, and within half hour or however long it takes to get your reward, as soon as you've got it, you know, your adrenaline, you've got away, and you think you're clever, or you've got some nice bits to show everyone, or you've got some money for whatever you're going to spend it on. But then I used to always feel that sense of emptiness after the frills and spills had gone. Sorry. So after all the frills and spills have gone, I used to feel lonely. I used to feel empty, because that moment that I've been chasing all day, like an addiction to drugs, almost the addiction to danger, and the presence of, will I get caught? Will I get away? How clever can I be to get away? Or, is it going to be my day to, celebrate some, fantasy figure in my head that I've got a big reward that makes me somebody special. That means that my image is living up to how I've portrayed it in my mind. I said in many other interviews along the way that I used to think like I was the Pink Panther sometimes, or Raffles even, the famous, cat burglars, used to watch programs and get the spills from that, and almost believe that, you're almost like him or them in that kind of way. These are the kind of thoughts that I used to get, perverse, in that old way of living. But the loneliness used to settle in, and then I used to have to find somewhere else what I would do afterwards when I used to get the proceeds. I think, oh, let's go and see him, let's go and see her. And often ones that haven't been out to steal, that you're going to go round and show them what you got, and I'll guess 50 quid, guess I'll give it, oh yeah, peed off. They haven't done nothing, risked nothing at all for you to give them all that. They've lived like that all their lives outside on the fringes of criminality, or doing a little hustle on the side. But when you come round, it's like Father Christmas. Yes, Yammy's coming round. What has he got? It makes you feel like you're only wanted for what you can get and for what you can give. And me selling myself as that person as well, that when you used to go around when your skin, it almost felt like to me sometimes that the same joyful way that I would go with the proceeds and be excited, yeah, be excitement, let's go here, let's go there. But when you ain't got that to give, the energy didn't used to feel the same, unless I was misreading it, of course. And you think to yourself, is that the only reason why they used to like you, or have you in their company? What would it be like then? Were they real friends even? Because another thing I've noticed since I've been out, since I've let go of a lot of past things, and I feel like I found more love in strangers than some of those that I grew up with from school onwards. I've been sad at some of the things that I feel that I've noticed, that, instead of being congratulated and well done, and there are a few that have come out and said, Sam, nice one, I'm really proud of you, and it means a lot to me to hear this kind of stuff, because, having been written off all those years as never going to stand a chance of getting out of that life, and then finally getting a chance to show that after all, I can dig deep and find a way away from it all, not just trying to be clever as a criminal still, where I've got better at it, where I'm getting away with it. Because, they do that famous one sometimes where I've been on a 3-year run, I've been out 5 years, I ain't been nicked, I'm doing good. Yeah, but you haven't been out 3 to 5 years without committing crime. So to me, that doesn't mean that you're doing good now. Once before it did, I used to believe, oh, how come he could stay out long doing it in a similar way that I did it, but he's not going to prison as much as me, if you get what I mean. So I don't include that as staying out and behaving. You're going to tell the courts when you get nicked 5, 6 years later. That's what used to piss me off about the courts as well. You tell them, yeah, well, he's done well. He's been out 6, 7 years, and he hasn't been back to prison. And the judge will look at it and he'll say, oh yeah, you proved that you could stay out and you're worth a chance. But he's not telling them that, oh, I've been at it all that time. It's just that I've got better at it. Do you see what I mean? Rather than someone like me who gets nicked every month or whatever and says, yeah, oh, well, there's no hope for you. You go back there where it's just that you get nicked quicker. But now, for the first time in life, I can say, yes, I've done really well this time. I've been out a couple of years. And not because I'm a clever criminal, but because I'm no longer a criminal, if you like. So there was that danger and that risk. It got it got worse and worse. I've often think to the first time with the stabbing, actually, when I was younger, the adrenaline I told you that I felt when I did the stabbing that day, when I was in care, and when I got on the bus and I was breathing, and I've done it. Showed you I might be small, but I can look after myself. I don't have to, you're not going to bully me no more. I don't have to accept it, all these things you're doing to me. And it gave me that rush and adrenaline. I often think that feeling of when I was doing crime and proving again that I'm a man because I could go climbing through windows or pulling out a weapon of some kind and sadly robbing people and getting that adrenaline thing that, you know, that I'm not such a weak man, you know, like they made me feel when I was younger. I'm quite a tough man because I'm brave enough to do these crimes and not get frightened because I'm not scared of the consequences. And you know, a dangerous man is a man who's not scared of getting nicked, or a man who's scared of not dying during the course of action, that kind of stuff. And in prison, very much the same. All or nothing then, because like we were saying yesterday, what are we settling? We're settling for less than what we really could be, or what we really should be, all of us, really. So they're replacing it because a lot of people, lot still suffering from it. A lot of people still wanting to find a way out of the adrenaline, or even a way out of crime and a way out of that life. And because those lonely nights after I used to make that money, like I was originally going to say a few minutes ago, was that I never used to have no purpose afterwards, after scoring and getting the gems and, you know, showing off, and the empty feeling of then a man saying to me, because, you know, when you haven't been out a lot, he's been out a lot longer, he knows where there's more places of fun, so to speak, where there be ladies to go and see, and, you know, go around here where you can have a good time, or we all join forces, and on the odd raving occasion I'll go out, and it means when you're having a good time you're splashing out money and going to the bar and buying champagne a couple of times. I've got to do that in life. But I said to myself, the replacing of that adrenaline, to put it into perspective so that we talk frankly about it, is what was you, or are you actually missing by being in a game or a lifestyle that leaves you feeling that way? What difference does it matter now that I'm not a criminal, that there's still going to be lonely nights? There's still going to be days when you feel like, you know, your self-esteem's a bit poor that day, or, you know, you've seen something like I'm going to tell you in a minute that again puts everything into perspective about life in general itself. A real sad case again. And every day I'm out, I keep reporting of such sad things. I think I was going to tell you about it yesterday, but then what are we missing? You're missing the danger, the creeping around. Yeah, right. There's many ways you can do sport. You can find good things to get buzzes from. You can make people feel happy about themselves. You could change your image completely, like I'm trying to do, or in the process of doing, or am doing, or have done, near enough, because I won't be committing crime ever again. I don't care how bad it gets. But what did I do to replace it, or look at it in a sense of where I say that I bartered for a thrill that lasts, albeit half hour, 45 minutes, or for however long it took to do the crime, for something that lasts a lifetime, say. So that you're bartering on that feeling that you get from what you're getting to build up some kind of fantasy self-esteem and self-confidence, when God eternal, Father in heaven, is the one place that we all got in common, where we all came from the dust, we're all going to the dust. And that the purpose of, you're going to get on a sweatbox, you're going to go in reception, They're all going to be the same, sad, lonely figures, all different types, nick for guns, nicks for shoplifting, all kind of states, and some looking good, some looking bad, some really, really sad figures, more sad figures now than ever I witnessed in later prison life than back in the day. And then the same old thing, what you in here for? Oh, do you know him? Oh yeah, what's he saying now? Oh, I wonder what wing I'm gonna get on. And the same old thing repeating itself. How long do you think I'll get? Like you're the judge that you can tell him that if you tell him you're only gonna get a 5, oh yeah, that'll be all right. And he's gonna go, yeah, oh, is it? That means that's all I'm getting then. You know, the kind of questions that go with what are you missing really from that life, really, when you put it all into one. It's almost like laughable to want to go back there and go through it all over again. Come on, thinking, come on, let's be serious about all this. Talking to young Dylan, a young fellow from, not actually young, but Dylan from Leeds, a Leeds supporter, met him on here, adamant, real Leeds fan, Yorkshireman. Sadly, when he was 20 years old, he lost his son, stillborn baby, right? 20 years old. But he gets to have another son. And I talked to him a little bit here and there. And his son has just had twins. And it's both of them in hospital, sadly. And you know, on incubators or whatever the name's called for them. And he's saying to me one night recently that, oh, I'm worried because the boy's not, you know, might not pass through. And I'm kind of listening and I'm thinking, I didn't know the first part about, or I couldn't remember the first part of the story that he told me about when he lost his at 20 years old. Now his son's having twins at 20 years old. And he's explaining to me that he's worried, he's going to bed thinking, you know, the same thing could happen to his son that happened to him. So me being positive and my faith in God, and, you know, that you're not going to let nothing happen bad. And, you know, and then these are sometimes when faith wavers in me sometimes, but it won't waver because only him upstairs will know the answer to these things. That sadly, and me as usual, not sadly yet, sorry. But I would say to him, I said to him, no, don't worry so much. It couldn't be possible that it could happen twice in one lifetime. Couldn't. In one lifetime, couldn't happen again. Not your son at 20 and it happened to you. And then the next day, I get a text telling me that I'm wrong. That exactly what he feared has now happened to his son, who's 20 as well, loses a birth, a baby, son that's born before life's even had a chance to start for him. And then obviously, again, I wish I would have never opened my big mouth and said anything. I talk to him daily, and my heart, prayers go out to the whole family, obviously. But he understands, you know, that it takes, it's been really strong. At the moment, I'm not there. I'll probably have a phone call with him, hopefully over the weekend. And I've got some stuff going on with him before all that. But just think how that family feel, and how, again, we put our lives like something's wrong, with some of the things I've spoken about so far, about our little adrenaline rushes and, addiction, maybe. It's sad that it is, going back and forth to prison and crying over stuff that we ourselves are guilty about, when somebody that just comes into the world who doesn't do absolutely nothing wrong, and him, Dylan himself, a hard-working man, has to go through such another traumatic. How does he feel? What is he questioning? He's saying, what do I question faith, I question religion, I question God, I question this, I question that. And for a minute, I'm thinking, I'm wavering as to why again does it have to happen this way? And then it puts everything into perspective again to me, makes me feel why does it happen this way in life? You know, why is it that if it was such and so, why would with that kind of pain? And then you think, hold on a minute, you say the next best thing, oh no, yeah, but there must be some good gonna come out for you somewhere. But I witnessed since I've been out, that not necessarily the case all the time, is it? Just because you go through all that, year after year, bad things happen. We got the famous story in Job in the Bible, where he had all the riches. And I'm going to do, someone's asked me to read that one. They're very, very hard to read that one out fully. I'll attempt it one day for that person, where he has all the riches and it gets all taken away from him. And he asked the Lord day and night, why have you stripped me naked? Why have you left me with absolutely nothing? But he stayed with him. He stayed and still prayed and still went to him, and he still asked for whatever it was that he did to deserve, or what lesson was he being taught by having riches and then going to rags and having nothing. And then the ending of, I think he ends up getting it all back again. You hope that when people are going through heartache after heartache after heartache after heartache, and some go through heartache and then get better results at other times, but so it's worth remembering that some don't get nothing at all, or seem not to get nothing at all. I think I was going to talk more on the purpose of what was I originally talking about? See, I knew I was going to drift off there. I know the sad note to end it on. Is that quite enough to talk about this tonight? But yeah, getting out of the institutionalization and that lifestyle and the adrenaline rush and, you know, that kind of thing, to replace it is to know that the end result of it all holds no meaning or no purpose whatsoever. Because for those short thrills and your wallet's fat for a minute, and you know what you're going to do with it, again at the expense of other people's things as well. Like you think to yourself, all I can say to you, all of you, especially if you're still in it, because it's very easy to say sometimes that, you know, I say that things going good for me in some kind of way, but yet still I wake up believing some days that it's not. But then I look around at some of my followers, friends, and I realize that loads suffer with no support, and holding on to the belief that, you know, when they see men like me who can have a go at trying to turn it around and not going back there. Many of you learned long before me, got a lot watching me, that they had to know, who got out the game long before and are more inspirations to me because they worked it out quicker. But because I spent so long in there, that it makes it more difficult in hindsight, because if you spend that much time in institutions, you have to, every single day that you've got left, you're going to bump into something that you've not bumped into, experienced before, where you can find an answer to or work it out until it hits you smack bang in the face and you go, oh yeah, I didn't know about that one, but I do now, kind of thing. Different to a man who's been out a long time and who's had all those life experiences already. So I've just hanged on in there and trusted in reaching out, because it was very, very important. There was a stage where I would lie there saying to James McGregor and Andy Panda the other day as well, amongst others, saying Marina and my other angels that are around, saying that sometimes, what was I saying? Oh God, I forgot what I was going to say. A way out or something. All right, let me finish now. I think that one threw me off course a little bit. Sending loads of love. I'm going to try and come back up in a minute. But there is always a way, oh yeah, reach out. Because I never used to reach out before. But I don't feel no way now. That if I'm feeling that little bit, down, reach out. That's why I try to answer as many people as I can, because I know the importance of trying to be on hand. I don't even think I told you about an incident that happened months ago where a young lady called Jenny Fahy took her own life, and on my Instagram, the messages never got through to me because I lost all my part. I think I told you already. And then you think you could have done something about it if you would have seen the messages. But all around us, it gets so deep. Talking to someone tonight, and they say, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I just don't want to live. Like it gets very, very real. Very real. Many, just not feeling, feel, but there's always somebody. Please, please, please reach out. I never used to do it, but I realize it does me the power of good. As much as I'm growing and growing, I still, last night, was reaching out to loads and loads and loads because I didn't feel quite right. So I'll try and be up in a minute. 30 minutes, bloody hell, that's long. Love you all dearly.